we'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with Legacy Partners podcast. And today is going to be, how do I say it, a very different type of podcast. Cheryl, 1 to 10, how much do you trust me?
With a 10.
Okay. Now, when Cheryl says a 10, her 10 and my 10 might be very, very different. So I might think a 10 means this, and she might think a 10 means this. So when I'm asking Cheryl, and so the thing that's hardest, probably, like I'm going to get into potentially some risky territory today with Cheryl, as I'm going to be talking about her children. Smart men know that you don't talk to women about their children, moms about their children. It is a very risky thing. But because I'm not a smart man, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there and I'm going to say, hey, and your daughter's name is again?
Kylie.
Kylie. So Kylie, she's 16, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so she's 16 and CJ is 10.
Uh-huh.
And he has Down syndrome.
Yes.
And so he's a cool kid. He came over to our house and he's a cool kid. I like him a lot. So I was asking in the pre-podcast, and you always want to come and participate in the live podcast, because that's where, pre and post is where the magic happens. I don't know why, it just does. So I was asking, Cheryl, about when Kylie was 10, was it harder to teach her, or was it harder to teach CJ, parent? And we'll pick up from the conversation there. And so this is kind of triggered from, the calling script. And so Cheryl, why do you think it was harder to parent CJ than it was to parent Kylie?
I think it's because of like CJ's disability that he has with the Down syndrome. It takes more time, it takes more hands-on, and it's hardly ever, in my experience with CJ, it's hardly ever been that he picks something up the very first time. Like you would have to do it multiple times in order for him to understand it, and then in some things even more so. With Kylie, you could tell her and what you kind of needed or wanted, and she would do that. You would be with her and coach her on doing it the right way, and usually that was the end of it. And
Got it.
I don't know, I guess.
So are you all thinking what I'm thinking?
I think I am.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking with teaching CJ is the same thing as this business.
Right. So you have a gift that none of us have. You're in a better position because you have valuable experience that none of us have.
Okay. I guess I
Now,
never looked at it that way, but yeah.
right, yeah, CJ has given you a gift of, and you're probably going to say in another 3 minutes, how does Mark know this stuff? Like, does he have cameras in the house? Like, how does he understand this? How does he understand these types of things? So when I was like 22, 23, um, my wife and I were married, we were in college, and, we were starting to talk about having children. And I thought, I wonder, like, we thought we might have a lot of children. So I thought, one of our children could be, back then you say handicap, now you say special needs, whatever it is. And so it's like, maybe I ought to start studying special needs children. And so I asked my aunt, I had a cousin who was about 10 years younger than me. So he was probably 12 at the time. And she had, I think, pox or mumps when she was pregnant, and he was born deaf. And I said, like, Aunt Nancy, like, I'm just curious, like, what's it like to parent, a special needs son? And she laughed. And I like, huh. She laughed and she said, well, Mark, he's just like any other kid. I'm like, what do you mean? See, Cheryl's laughing now. Like she gets it. Like she understands. Like most would be like, well, no, he's not. He's totally different. Well, yes, he is different, but and she said, he knows how to use his disability to get what he wants, Mark. And I'm not sure that's going to serve him so well. And so, as someone who's Down syndrome, are they amiable personalities? I don't know. I've never thought of that until just now.
Haven't either.
So Adam, you can put in here the personality ones, the different shapes in here, so we can add those back in. But I wonder if he's amiable personality. Everyone I've met that is Down syndrome, they're just super nice people. Super nice kids. I mean, they are until they're not. Just like my wife, who's amiable too. Like, and they're stubborner than all get out. Like, man, are they stubborn? Like, man, are they stubborn? And so, one of the biggest challenges that a mom has in teaching her children is, do they have the capability to do something? And with special needs kids, it's even more challenging because a mom at some point, like Cheryl and I have never talked about this, not once. Like we've never talked about it. It's like, how do you know this stuff, Mark? I don't know. Like, I don't know. It just makes sense. It's like, it makes sense. You use your brain, you think. And so at what age, Cheryl, did you go ahead? And I have a nephew, AJ, and he's got Williamson syndrome. And so at what age, Cheryl, with CJ, did you realize that he was gaming you as a mom? Like he could do something and and you're like, that kid, I can't believe, like, what age did that happen to you?
I would say probably, okay, he started walking when he was just a couple weeks before his 4th birthday.
Okay.
So up until that point, we had a lot of hands-on, like
Yeah.
we had to carry him everywhere or whatever. And I think after that, when he was a little bit more um able to do stuff on his own, I think that's when that started a little bit, like because he at that point he had been used to kind of being catered to,
Right.
Because if he wanted something, it just automatically appeared because he couldn't get it, instead of going over and getting him. And I even see that now, like when he does stuff, he'll be like, Mom, come. And I'll be
Right.
like, what do you need? What do you need? And it'll be a simple thing that he could have done in the time he came to get me.
Right. Right,
And I am honestly really trying to work on that. No, you're a big boy. You can do that. You can do that all by yourself. And he'll like, oh, but
right,
he will make an effort. He will make an effort. And he even started doing it sometimes that I don't even have to go into the living room to help him. I'll be like, remember, CJ, you can do that all by
right,
yourself.
right. So he
So,
kind of reminds me of my youngest son, Tim, who had four older sisters and a mom. So he had five moms really in his life.
uh-huh.
And I'm like, girls, like they all thought of him as his bait at their baby. And they carried him around. I think he started walking at 3, literally. Like it's like, what in the world? Like,
Uh-huh.
but he knew how to game those girls and his
Yeah.
mother like nobody's business. And it was cute until he turned 4 or 5. It started getting a little bit. When he turned 9, then I had all 5 of them coming to me because I warned them beforehand. I said, listen, girls,
Yep.
Rosanna, ladies, we're training him to be a monster. His wife, his future wife is going to be angry with all of you guys because you guys,
Uh-huh.
they wouldn't listen to me. And so he turns 9 years old and all 5 of them come and say, Dad, you got to do something about him. Why do I have to do something about him? You guys are the ones that created this monster. And so, anyways, why is this so important in sales? Um, because Elaine has the same thing with her 5 children. She doesn't have a special needs child, although she might say all of my kids are special needs. I would say with my kids, like they all have their stuff. Every one of them have their stuff. And this is
Uh-huh.
why I love working with moms, especially with moms who have special needs kids or moms who have a lot of kids, because, they know when adults are gaming them. And, if Cheryl's not going to let CJ game her, she's not going to let you game her, And so
Yeah.
I used to share, I'm not saying this is good. I'm just saying this is what I used to do. I'd get so frustrated when I had 22 employees that they could not listen. They could not follow direction. They could not do simple things. And I'd get so ticked at them. And I'd just say, you know what, guys, I'm going to bring my 7-year-old up and I'm going to have them do the work for you because I'm tired of you. I would. When an adult sees a 7-year-old doing their job, let me tell you, do they get ticked? Like
Yeah.
and so does CJ do well with strangers or not so much?
Um, you know what? Yes and no. It kind of he will he will engage with strangers all the time. Like when we're out and about, he will just randomly walk up to people and give them a hug. And
Yeah.
I have especially noticed that he does that to people that are in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but anyway, but as far as
Well, the reason why is because he has empathy for them.
yeah,
He has empathy for them
true.
and he can go ahead and feel their pain, their difference. Special needs kids, they're a lot smarter than people think they are. They're smarter than the average kid. They
I
really
know, and
are.
I'm discovering that more and more.
Oh yeah, they know
Yep.
how to move people and game people and get people to do what they want them to do. They're brilliant. They really are.
Yep.
I'm not saying that just because CJ made me feel special and loved, but when we went out on our walk, it was really cool.
Uh-huh.
And, I was there playing with him on the floor, and he's just
Uh-huh.
a nice kid. Like he just made me feel very special, probably because he realized I had social autism and he knew I had
Mhm.
special needs. And everybody else, all my family and my friends and everybody mocks me, but he didn't mock me. He accepted me as I was,
Right.
which I love. And so,
Right.
can he go ahead and help you with your business? He absolutely can. Is that
Yeah.
wrong? I don't think it's wrong. I think the younger kids can go ahead. like, can we create a business card for him? Could we give him something where he could, ask people their biggest challenge? And so he doesn't have the fears that adults do,
Yeah.
and so he can have his own business, the things that he could learn. For Life Masteries Institute, we had a gentleman, Dan Vesley, and he had cerebral palsy. And he would just go up to people just straight up. He said, I have cerebral palsy. What's your problem? Like,
Wow.
yeah, like he'd be just like, you know what? Stuff happens and you learn to take whatever God gives you and you turn it into your benefit. And so, Elaine, any questions or thoughts that you have?
No, my mind's going in too many directions.
Right. That'll happen. Cheryl, any thoughts or questions you have?
I don't have a question, but I have a thought for the day for moms.
Okay.
Something that my sister taught me years ago is a lazy mom does it all herself. Does that make sense?
Wow.
Does that make any sense?
Oh, totally.
Because some people are like, what does that mean?
No,
you're
I totally get that.
You're too lazy to teach them, so you just do it yourself.
Right. Right. And I'd say same thing is true with the dad. A lazy dad
Yeah.
does it himself. I'd say the
Yep.
same thing is true with a leader. A lazy leader does it themselves. And so, you will find that CJ is, I have 3 college degrees in business. And CJ will have taught you far more about business, and your daughter too. I mean, both of them, they will teach you far more about business than my 3 degrees ever have. Sales, you just study them. They know how to sell you. So you've got to, you got to bring up your game. I think you got to step up your game because they continue to get better to get what they want from mom and get mom to do things. And so, so if you're listening to this and you're not connecting the dots, this is the year I don't connect the dots. So if you don't connect the dots, I don't know what to tell you. Like if you don't see how this will radically change your ability to sell, talk to Elaine, talk to Cheryl, because they'll connect the dots for you. They see their kids struggle through things. They see their kids struggle through things, and mom's heart goes out and wants to train or help a child or support. Sometimes you do, sometimes you let them struggle through it. It's not easy being a mom. It's not easy being a dad. It's just not. It's not easy being in sales. So suck it up, buttercup, make the phone calls, pick up the phone. When you look at CJ, and how hard he needs to work to do things, that should inspire you, all of us. I mean, he can be a better, people will learn more from him than me. People will listen more to him than they will me. I mean, they will. I mean, if you want to develop him in Life Masteries, they'll pay him. I mean, seriously, he can get, he can start his own company and he can go ahead and work for Life Masteries Institute, seriously. And he can call like Kenny and Luke, Jason, Mel, like these young men, like he can call them and he'll go ahead and he calls them and he'll just go ahead and, hey, have you done this? Like, so you can teach him how to use his disability to his advantage. We had a guy that was, had a delayed speech disorder. He was 22, I think, and his mom brought him in, for the interview, and he didn't have his driver's license. And what was interesting about him is when he was an amiable too, and when he didn't want to answer a question, man, did that disability kick in. Like, talk about delayed speech, man, it would go forever. And it was crazy. But when he got excited about something, when he was talking about a topic that he really liked, man, you didn't even notice his disability, like at all, like it nothing.
Mhm.
And I never forget, like she comes in and she did all the talking. I'm like, I want to talk to Dominic. So I'm like, I want to talk to Dominic. And his mom she's like, well, he's got a disability. Well, I'm like, well, he does have a disability. I can see that. Might not be the one you're thinking of, but I wanted to talk to him, which was fine. I get her. I get it. But so we're talking and stuff, and she says, yeah, he'll never drive in his life. He can't because of his disability. Within 6 months of doing an internship with us, he had his license.
Wow.
Yeah. And so why? Because he saw like he gained confidence. He was actually a computer programmer. It was wild. It was
Mhm.
like, really cool. And so there's so much capability. So again, if you're watching this and you don't connect the dots, talk to Cheryl and Elaine. And so Cheryl's going to have a special understanding of your disability of procrastination, and she will be able to assist you. She has a special, like, I'm just saying, she understands how to deal with that better than I do. When you're not listening to me, you're not picking up the first time. She has greater skills than I do in dealing with you. Like she just does. And so, a lot of times, we as human beings don't pick up, we don't listen, we don't pay attention. It's just crazy. And so Cheryl's not only going to do amazing in sales and business coaching because of CJ. CJ will help her, the experience that he's given Cheryl will help her to probably earn 2 to 3 times as much money as she would as a business owner without CJ. Like the expertise that he's given her to discern and to understand, is this really something he can't do? Is it just something he's getting stubborn, or he just wants mom to do it? And so she will do great in sales and she will do great in coaching. Elaine has 5 children, and I am not going to say they're like my children, my 7 children, which are little sneaky buggers. Like, I'm not going to say that about my children. I'd never say something bad, but each child has their own unique stuff. Like you, as an adult, you have your own unique stuff. So you say you want to be a business owner. Okay. You're going to have to do things that you don't like doing. Deal with it. You're going to have to do things you're not good at doing. Deal with it. You're not an employee. You're a business owner. So, man up, woman up, put your big boy pants on, big girl pants on, and do what you need to do. So, in my experience in life, to go ahead and end up doing what you love doing, you have to learn how to do things you don't enjoy doing. And my mom taught me how to enjoy things that you don't enjoy doing. And if my mom hadn't, I was probably, I don't know, 14, 15, probably complaining about, cutting the vegetables or canning or, applesauce or all the things that we used to do as kids and did not like doing as kids. Um, you know, And I was probably complaining and she said, you know, Mark, you're gonna be working the rest of your life, buddy. You better learn how to enjoy what you do. And I took that to heart. I took that to heart. And if she hadn't told me that, and if I hadn't internalized that, I would probably be working for somebody else now. I'd be an employee. And so, I'm just telling you, this is what it is. So for Action Vision coaches, this is a great session for you to give to your clients. When people might think I'm joking, but I'm not. CJ could take a lesson and he could teach that lesson better than all of us. I'm just telling you. So it wouldn't
What kind of
surprise.
lesson?
What's that?
What kind of lesson?
I'm not sure yet. It could be, I mean, people are not that you'd ever realize this, or you can't relate to this, Cheryl, but you're different than most people. Sometimes, Cheryl, business owners are terrified of picking up the phone and making phone calls.
Mhm,
I know you can't relate to that.
mhm. Whatever.
And so, CJ might be able to help with that. So he has, in his brain, he has like special superpowers. There's certain parts of his brain that will develop far, far, far superior to, the normal person. And so it's just how disabilities is just how special needs work. I've never seen anyone that has a disability, special needs. I've never seen anyone that doesn't have superpowers in some other area. It's just a matter of finding what those areas are. And so there could be a lesson, on, discipline and follow through. So it might be on something he struggles with and he's pushed through it. Like Dan Vesley said, when people would make up excuses and give reasons, well, I can't do this because of this or this or this. So it's unbelievable how many excuses adults have. So Dan Vesley just say, hey, I have cerebral palsy. What's your issue? Like he'd
Yeah.
mock them, he'd mock them in a good way, not negative, or it's just like, hey, I have a lot of adversities and I get through them. Stop your whining, stop being a baby,
Mhm.
suck it up and do what you need to do. And so there's a whole bunch of different things that he could do that will go ahead and help him to realize his giftedness and why God has created him the way he did to be an amazing young man that can change the world more than all of us combined. I just know that. I just see that. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Again, if you're not connecting the dots, if this thing doesn't, motivate you, talk to Cheryl, talk to Elaine, your mentor and your art mentor or your buddies and say, hey, let's just stop making excuses and let's just get her done. Get what needs to be gotten done. Have an amazing day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.